Welcome back. This is Fantastic Pains and How We Hide Them. I'm not Chris.
And I'm not Karina.
But we're here together.
As usual.
For more fun times and shenanigans.
Yeah.
And we are ow today. At least I am ow. I don't know if you are like as ow, but I'm lots of ow.
No, I'm medicated and ow.
It's all the ow.
Yeah.
It's not a good time. I'm not enjoying it.
Mm-mm.
She said as she tried to rip her fingers off.
She's just trying to rip herself to pieces.
Anyway,
it's fine.
If this is your first time here, welcome. It gets weirder from here. This is our sibling duo about life with chronic and invisible conditions.
We have the EDS,
yes,
which is Ehlers-Danlos, and we have the hypermobile type.
Yes.
Or type 3.
Or type 3. Used to be type 3. It's now hypermobility type. And then we have an array of comorbidities that go along with that.
And mental illnesses.
Fun. We got the whole package.
Mm-hmm.
We tried it so you didn't have to.
I mean, you still can if you want, but you don't have to. No pressure.
Boycott the EDS. Just don't do it. Where can they find us?
You can find us on YouTube. Hi YouTube. We're also on Spotify, Audible. What's the other big one? Google Podcasts. Yep. And then a couple small ones, but not Apple. So don't look for us on Apple. We also have a website where you can use as like a hub for all of our content. And we have blog posts and also a Discord.
Yes.
For complaining and relating to people.
Yes, and advice, because some of those people, like we all have different pieces of the puzzle, I feel like. Yeah. But when we come together, we can gather those pieces in one place. Oh yeah, which is just
we always have an answer for something.
Fascinating to me. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So we really love and respect our elder EDSers because there's a lot of wisdom to be shared, and we get to enjoy that on our Discord. So check it out. We also have a TikTok where all the nonsense goes.
Yep.
Oh, just me.
And now she's dying.
Dead.
For your entertainment.
Karina fakes her death? Question mark, exclamation
There's
point.
The clickbait.
There you go.
She didn't. It's ruined.
No.
What are we going to talk about today?
Oh, today we are going to talk about our kind of broad topic is fear as a whole. Yeah. Right. And then breaking that down into how fear impacts us when it comes to dealing with discomfort, both physically and mentally. And then maybe get into some of the different aspects of how we experience those things in the real world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But first.
The differences. Yes. But first, it is time for the weekly recap.
Check-in.
Indeed. Let's do it. I don't remember anything. No, that's not true. I do.
We just did a recap last night. We should be easy.
Yeah. Oh my God. You want me to go first?
I'll go because I have stuff.
Oh,
I actually have things that happened.
Yes.
So I saw David.
I want to hear about David. Yes.
David was fun.
Always is.
I was excited to go see him. And when it was after all the snow too, so I was like really not wanting to go. I was like, it's so cold and it's not going to be fun, and it sucked. We had to leave an hour early to get there just barely on time.
Awful.
Yeah. No, but we got in and everything went well.
Good.
He was telling us his COVID stories because he's had it multiple times.
Yeah.
And it he thought he was going to die.
Oh my God.
He was running fevers of 103 plus. And he didn't know it was COVID at first because he had no respiratory symptoms at all.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
Just everything else. So he thought he was food poisoned at first, and then he thought it might be a bacterial infection. And he went to the ER and they treated him like shit. They're like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just COVID. And they sent him on his little merry little way.
Rude. It's just COVID. It's just the worst thing you'll have. General.
Yeah. Well, and he said since he's had COVID, getting normal sick has been way worse too. Like he was in Europe 2 weeks before I saw him. Like we saw him the day he got back. And so he spent Thanksgiving in Europe and he had a good time. But he was sick the last 3 days. And it was sick. Like he was out. And he was telling us how bad it was, and not great.
No good.
Mm-mm.
There's a lot of sick going around.
Yeah. And the COVID does affect everything, apparently.
Yes.
The vid. What else did we talk about? Everything else is pretty normal. It was just like, check up, how you doing? Yeah. How are your knees? Oh, that sucks.
Bummer, buddy.
Yeah. And then we were looking at maybe doing them for primary care.
What does that mean?
So like
using them for primary care.
Right.
I thought you said Denver primary care.
Oh no, like, them for.
Oh, okay.
Because like they had a little paper on the like signage stuff. It was like, ask us about our primary care.
That would be so nice to have it just all in one place.
I thought so, but it's not David, so it would be somebody else in it. You know how there's 2 buildings now?
Yeah.
So it'd be someone in the other building and then him. I was hoping that it was him for all of it. I'd be like,
right. You're like, you could all do it. Combine it.
Yeah. Oh, but I found Libby.
Oh, good.
She is working there.
Really?
Yeah. So I'll be able to just make appointments with Libby now, which will be great.
That's so cool.
I'm really excited.
Oh, that's awesome. You get to have your team back.
Yeah, everybody.
That's fantastic. What a lucky go.
Can
you imagine? Oh my
Especially
God.
Considering I lost like mine.
Yeah. Well, and you had such a great team going.
Yeah.
That like super valuable to be able to find them and have them all in one place. How cool.
And now I get to keep them.
That's so cool.
All the right people.
Aw.
And then I fell down the stairs.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
And it wasn't like one of those tumble gently down the stairs kind of things. It was the one where I went head over my feet and landed on my chin at the bottom and smashed a tooth. Two, yeah. This one broke and this one's just bits.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have that looked at.
That makes all of me hurt thinking about it.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad.
Ugh. How did you fall down the stairs?
I couldn't feel it. Like with my feet.
Oh.
So it slipped and I didn't know it slipped until it was too late. Like,
oh yeah, that like you don't know you're falling until you're like, oh wait, why am I horizontal?
Right, so I wasn't even
God.
ready to catch myself, which is why
it just you were falling and then you hit the ground. Stopped falling.
It was like from halfway up though, so it wasn't the whole stairs. But good. I was just
you would have just gone head over and then you wouldn't have broken your neck. We have EDS. But that would have sucked.
Sprained my
neck.
Really
bad.
Yeah, I think one of my ribs got messed up too. Like it was floating for a while.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Great. So exciting.
I mean, other than that, it was an okay week. Like,
after that like super traumatic event, it was fine.
Well, I didn't let it bring me down, I guess. The rest of the week was a good week.
We're going to talk about that later.
Also. Oh yeah, we also have we kind of talked about Thanksgiving before, but Jen is still recouping. She's been getting tension headaches since then. Yeah. And had to miss work yesterday. She blacked out.
Oh no.
She got home. She was going to go inside, grab something, and she blacked out in the car in the driveway.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was bad.
She needs to take some time off.
I know.
Like for reals.
Yeah.
Bad. Oof. She works super hard too.
That's next on the agenda is to get Jen to calm.
Yeah, take some time off and stop doing the do.
Yeah. They say do the do, but don't.
No, don't do the do when you're blacking out and stuff.
Was there anything else? I mean, we did live.
Yeah.
We got to see all of our regulars and we met some new people. Welcome,
that was
Doggo.
Really cool. Welcome, Doggo. That was awesome.
That was really cool
to talk to you. I'm really excited for having just more voices.
Yeah.
Many voices is kind of our theme. So the more people, the better. And it was just cool. It was cool to have somebody just organically find our channel and be like, yeah, no, this is cool. I'll stay. It's fine.
We find the right people.
People are crazy. It's great. And they have a peacock.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In the Pets tab.
I have to go check out
it's really
the
cool.
Pets tab.
They have a peacock and Doggo and Kitty.
Huh. That's cool. Now it's your turn.
It is my turn. So let's see. Sunday I was super productive, right? Because I bribed myself.
Yeah. With coming over.
Yeah. I was like, I can go see my brother if I get the cleaning done. And so I bribed myself, got the cleaning done, pushed through really hard. But I did it in such a way, like I took breaks. I did. I would like take breaks while vacuuming. I would finish an area and then go take a break and then come back to it. I know how to pace and I do it.
Yeah.
I'm not like, just push through until you faint.
No, you weren't dead when you got here.
No.
So it obviously worked.
Yeah. But I did give myself the exercise-induced MCAS.
Yeah.
And then that lasted into Monday. And then Monday was just bad because the storm was coming in and it was not having a good time. I was totally miserable. And friend of podcast Summer was totally miserable too. We were not having fun. Let's see. Yeah, so the snowstorm Tuesday, we really wanted a snow day and it didn't happen. I was really upset. But I was also a mess. And so I was like, I texted my boss. I'm like, I am bad. I'm just bad. I'm having a horrible time. I'm struggling really hard. I will be in when I can.
Yeah.
But I'll be late. Which was a good thing that I didn't leave because my husband slipped on the ice and hit his head again. And called me at like 7:30, and I got in the car in my pajamas with my hair all greasy and went and got him, and we went to urgent care, and we sat there for a long time. And then from urgent care, they were like, go to the ER because of the proximity of head injuries.
Oh, yeah. You gotta do imaging.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so we went to the ER, waited there for a long time, got the imaging done, and they were like, you need to stay. And we were like, I can't. Because I was starting to flush really bad. And then as soon as we stood up to go, I flushed hard. Like, hard. I almost passed out. And so we went home, and both of us took a nap because we were just so exhausted. So that was from 7:30 in the morning to, I don't know, like 1 o'clock, 1:30.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2 o'clock. I don't even know. But it was late. It was bad. And so I took a stress nap. It was a fun time. Woo! Yeah, so that was that. And then luckily it is a very mild concussion, by the way, so nothing too scary. We're very thankful that it wasn't that bad. Let's see what else. Wednesday, I got a lot of work done from home, which was nice. And then went to work, did my stuff. It was fine. Thursday was a day I don't remember. I don't know.
It was a normal day.
It happened. I don't remember it. Oh, Wednesday I saw you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we hung out for a minute. And then Friday live, and yeah. It was just a crazy week, and it was like high intensity for emotional output for like kiddos, but in a good way though.
Yeah.
Because it was, I don't know, it was just a reinforcement of the bonds that we're forming are super important, and being able to be genuine and honest with the kids really makes a difference. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
It was a week. And the thing that happened this week. So I was digging around and I found that the like abdominal pain that I'm having, and I kind of wondered before, but I wasn't sure of like terminology and all that. But somehow you put the right search terms in finally. Yep. And I think that it's just trigger points from scarring on the like iliopsoas band that are causing so many problems just in general. So the lower back pain, the abdominal pain, the chest pain, the nausea, the like
it's all the deferred
like
pain,
crazy, all the like referred insanity. And so I emailed my doctor and was like, hey, I have an appointment with my massage therapist to work on this, but when we've worked on it in the past, I've almost passed out on the table or thrown up because the pain is just so awful. Can we do trigger point injections in my abdomen? And my PCP was like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Let's get you hooked up with that.
Heck
so I
yeah.
have an appointment on Monday to get with anesthesia to get that done. And I'm really excited because I'm like, if this helps, that takes care of like a huge chunk of what is making life so difficult for me right now. Because that is, it's a massive factor in what is knocking me down every day. So I'm really excited about that. So we'll see.
Well, and also you had that meeting that went well.
Yeah, I did.
So like work isn't gonna be as bad.
Yeah. So I met with my boss and then the director together yesterday. Yeah, it was pretty yesterday. Sure. And was just like, hey, can we talk about like what I can do to manage my pain at work so that I don't have to keep leaving? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. You can like take your prescribed medication because you know how it affects you. And it'd be like if I took Benadryl, it can make you drowsy, but for some people it doesn't. And if you've been taking it, like you know yourself.
Yep.
And if it is affecting you, like, you can go lock yourself in an office and do that. But he's like, the kids really miss you and you're not here on Wednesday. So I'm going to have to talk to them about that. Because I'm like, what if I came in late on Wednesday? I don't know. We'll see. But if the trigger point injections help, I don't know. Maybe I could be in the building.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, that's what we're always saying. It gets different, right?
Right, exactly.
So like your outlook before was negative and like, how am I going to handle this? And now there's something that might actually help you handle it. So like,
yeah. So I'm like, and that's a huge portion. And then they said that, because I was like, is there a way that I could start to kind of like recoup some of my lost hours? Because there is so much that I can do from home on my computer.
Yeah.
And I can take stuff home with me and work over some of breaks. And they were like, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. Just we'll have to be like task specific. It'll be like, I'm going to accomplish this within this time frame, and this is how you will know that I've done it.
Right.
And that was exactly how I was like envisioning it anyway.
Perfect.
And so it went really well, and it was like a 10-minute meeting max, and it went well. So I have some newfound hope, I think, in like there's a change coming.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where I get stuck, is I get stuck on the like, yes, it gets different, but when?
Yeah.
It will get different, but the right now sucks. When is the next different?
Yeah.
And so this will be the next, like, maybe this will help it be different. So we'll see. And then we'll be trying low-dose naltrexone in January. Oh, and one of the girls from that pain group I was in reached out to me.
Yeah.
And we've been chatting, so that's been cool.
It's always nice to find more EDSers.
Yeah.
Not that any other chronic illness isn't welcome here.
Right.
Just, we can relate easier to it.
Yeah. Well, and it's such a like strange thing, because they're like, hey, do you get the blah blah blah? Because it's so weird. Some of the things we go through are just outright bizarre. And so finding other EDSers is fun, because you get to be like, hey, that really weird thing, and then you're like, oh my god, I see you and you see me, and it's amazing. So yeah, it feels like change is coming.
Yeah.
Which is good. So we're getting there. I don't know. So, yeah. So where do you want to start?
Blair Witch Project 1.
No.
So we're in the woods. we're shooting a documentary.
He's a monster.
You want to talk fear? Let's talk fear.
Yes. Let's talk fear, shall we?
But fear related to pain and life. And
yeah. Well, just in general.
The anticipation of fear.
Even. Right. So there's a story that I was told when I did my very first like pain group when I started at Kaiser, which would have been like 2017, 18-ish. And he was talking about a man who put a nail through his boot, like through his up into his foot. And he was like screaming and freaking out, and he was in so much pain, so much horrible pain. And then when they finally got the boot off of him at the emergency room, because they had to cut it off because they were concerned about like what the damage might be and so on, they cut the boot off of him, and the nail didn't even touch him. So the nail went between his toes, but the anticipation of the fear, the anticipation of the pain and the fear of that pain
made it
hurt.
Yeah.
Made his brain react as though that was pain, right? So we know that pain is an extremely real experience, no matter where it's coming from. But it's interesting to think about the role that our attitude towards pain
I was
plays,
gonna say,
right?
Our role in pain, because we can actually have an effect on it.
Yes.
And people don't realize. A lot of people don't realize.
Right.
It.
Like you can amplify it through your fear, right? Because that's all that like cortisone.
Yeah.
Or cortisol.
Cortisone
is different. That's a medication. Sorry. But the cortisol levels can be triggered by that anticipation and that fear, because your brain is like amping up for this really negative experience.
Yeah.
And because we make it negative, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, it's like us through, well, at least me, because we talked about this I think last week or something, about how I used to be afraid of needles.
Yeah.
And like I was like paranoid about doctors in general. And now I don't even care.
I know, me neither.
It's not a deal. It's like, hey, we need to do a spinal tap. I'm like, go for it. Done that.
Yeah.
Shoulder tap, go for it. Knock yourselves out.
Well, and I was the same way.
Angio?
I remember after the car accident, the first thing I said to my dad when he came and was like with me near the ambulance.
Yeah.
By the ambulance, I was on the stretcher. And I said, Daddy, they're putting needles in me. And he was like, no, actually, it's a piece of plastic. But at that point, that was what I was concerned about, was the needle.
Right.
I was like, I don't like this bit.
But now it's not even, it doesn't even equate.
Now I like to watch when they draw blood.
Oh, totally.
Or when they're placing an IV for something else. Or when they do the orthogram. Is that the one with the X-ray or ultrasound? Where they
the
inject directly into the...
Right, the dye and...
the joint. That one's interesting to see.
Oh, all of it.
But yeah, I used to be terrified of needles and terrified of dentists. And scared of the doctors and scared of like being vulnerable to all of this because it was such a negative thing in my mind.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and it was like unbelievable because of the way we were raised. Like, doctors were not a part of the equation.
Right. We were never. My brain just went socialized. We were never socialized with doctors.
Yeah, they didn't put us in a room with doctors when we were little to get used to them.
Get like poked and prodded, and we didn't practice with doctors when we were young. No. So it was a very different experience as adults to kind of work through becoming ill in that way. Like as the illness progressed, we had to incorporate doctors back into our lives, and we didn't know how to do that, and it was scary and unknown.
Oh, all of it. Yeah. I mean, God, like even the first time I got medicated, like just in general, they're like, you need to take this for your blood pressure. That was like a big deal to me. I was like, oh no, I have to take something daily. What's wrong with me?
Medication? Oh my God.
Now I'm like 20 pills in the morning. Let's rock. Let's get going.
Yeah. Oh, and it's funny how like I remember being afraid of swallowing pills because I was afraid of choking.
Yeah, as a kid, especially.
And now, like I used to have to take them like one at a time if I had to take anything more than one. And now I'm like, there's 12 pills in here. We're just going to dump all of it, chug it real quick and call it a day.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel like anything anymore. And so after that after that fear kind of dissipated through experience, it's been easier to build more things in, I guess.
Yeah.
Or to experience more things that might have been scary at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, like even an MRI was terrifying.
Yeah. If you think about it, the way we mitigate the fear is by knowing what's going on.
Yes.
Like that's why we're always asking questions and wanting to watch, because then we know what's happening.
Exactly.
Like it's not scary when you understand it.
Right. Well, that's the thing, I think, is that, and it's hard to speak about fear of pain in general because it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And especially when you're talking about chronic illness versus people who are generally healthy and well. Because people who are generally healthy and well, fear is prominent in that, right? Because pain equal bad. Pain means that something is horribly wrong with you.
Yeah.
And that's how they imagine it. And that's why there's more fear in that. So people, like, I don't know, have you talked to well people where they're like, oh my God, I had to have like a procedure done. I had the like blah, 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 blah.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're like, oh yeah, I had that
done
that. Like whatever. And they're like, oh, it was horrible.
Right. Yeah. I feel bad too, because I don't want to be comparative or anything. But
right. Well, and that's the thing is that like they're not wrong in their responses.
Right. It hurt really bad and it was scary.
Yeah.
But it's just because it was new and they didn't, it, like you said, it's the difference.
Yeah.
Since we're in pain all the time, it's not an alarm bell anymore.
Exactly. It's just the dead battery.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Because that's how I like to think about it. And that's how I explain it to people when they're like, well, if that hurts, get it checked out. And you're like, no, you don't understand. Everything hurts all the time.
Right.
And it's also fine. And they're like, wait, no, that's not fine. And you're like, no, that's fine. It's really okay to just be in pain because that's our normal.
A good example is Jen when she had her first surgery done. She had her nose had to be
like
the septum,
septum
was fixed, and it hurt all the time for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And halfway through, she looked at me and she goes, "I understand now," and I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, that's the positive to this, I guess, is that you can relate. And she's like, "Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
It's not bad when it's all the time." Like, yeah, it becomes background noise after a while.
Right. Well, because you have to learn to tune it out. And then when you stop the fear, it takes away some of the like natural bodily reaction to pain. Because if you can think about the pain and be like, yes, acknowledge it, but also it's fine. We can snooze that alarm. You don't have to amp up over it. And it doesn't
You're not getting the stress hormones. You're not getting adrenaline drops.
Yeah.
You're not panicked.
Adrenaline is probably where I was trying to go with that. I think. It's because, like, that's fear. Fear is supposed to make you act.
Yes.
That's what fear is. Fear is something is going to harm me, harm someone I love, or, like, it's in that vein of emergency time.
Right.
So when we're afraid, we're getting that adrenaline and we're getting those stress hormones because the body is prepping for something traumatic.
Yeah.
And when we take the fear out of it, the trauma also goes away. Like, it becomes something that is not traumatic.
Right.
And something that you don't have to act on. And it's interesting to talk about it because we talked a little bit, I think, about people who are generally well and healthy have that fear of pain where it becomes they need to escape it.
Right.
It's like an animal in a trap.
No, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
They have this thing and they need to get as far away from it as they can.
Yes. And I think, like, for us
urgently.
Right. If we responded like that all the time, we'd just be in it all the time. It would never stop.
I think there was a time when we were kind of there.
Yes.
Like before diagnosis, when things were amping up and we didn't even have like an idea of what it was. When it was just, we have these weird experiences all the time, but we were always on edge.
Yeah.
And we would beat ourselves up over it. I
remember when the vomiting was a really big one, actually. The fear of vomiting. I think I still have a fear of vomiting because I hate it. I hate it. I would rather do anything else than vomit. I hate it. But that was a really big one. So it was always like nausea became fear of consuming food because there was a possibility of vomiting.
Yeah.
But also, I remember when I had like the sciatica starting, and it was, and it moved in stages. So it was like confusion and fear and just despair over it because I couldn't do anything to stop it.
Right.
And it was horrible. It was the worst thing I'd experienced at that point. And then I didn't know what would trigger it. And that became the fear of like what movement or what activity or what like
you're limiting yourself because you don't know.
And you move carefully and you become afraid of movement.
I remember that phase.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I had that a lot with my shoulders.
Yeah. I was going to say, what was it for you?
Oh, it was definitely shoulders because they hurt so bad. They were so jank. And like I was injuring them more and more by doing what was suggested to me. So it only got worse. And it was so bad that there would be days when I wouldn't do certain things. Like I wouldn't grab for glasses or anything because that would be too much.
Oh, and I remember that where I couldn't like reach up and brush my hair.
Yeah.
Because it was too much.
Yeah.
Oof.
And it's bad. The fear of hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you know what?
Like, I don't want to do that. No.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's scarier when you don't know what's going to trigger it too. Like what is going to hurt me? You're like, pain is somewhere in this path, but I don't know where. It's like a jump scare.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the one thing for us that we have is the random pains that return.
Yes.
Like when that day I felt the side pain for the first time after back surgery and I cried.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, this is back. Like, oh, that just ruined me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I think like the fear of the future as a whole can be really triggering.
Yeah.
Because especially when you find yourself in a downward trend, like I'm feeling better now. I have some hope now, but I didn't for a while. I was like, I knew things would get different at some point, but it was the like, how long is it going to be like this? How long is it going to be a downward trend?
Right, because you don't know how long you can hang on for.
Right, and like how much worse is it going to get in that downward trend before it turns around and comes back up?
Yep.
So, I don't know. For us, it gets different was really like the motto.
It is.
It really does. It becomes that motto to try to stop that fear cycle.
It's such an interesting phrase too. It was like a tangent, but like when we message each other, it's like being told it's like being told everything's gonna be okay with the acknowledgement that it sucks.
Yes.
So it's like admitting defeat in a way.
Yeah.
But not like defeat, just like in the moment you are not doing well.
Yes. Well, yeah, not admitting defeat, but also surrendering to the experience.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what I mean. Like it's like okay, this is happening.
Yes.
And I just have to wait.
Yes. Like I can't stop it from happening. If I try, I'm going to start like that panic piece, and we don't want that either.
It is. It's kind of like relinquishing fear out of it, like just letting it go.
Right. Like once you let go of the control, and you're like, I remember when. Sorry, a little tangent here. When I first started having the like chest pains, that I think it was esophageal spasms.
Oh yeah,
where it felt like a heart attack and a stroke all at once.
Yep. And
they were like, I would end up in a panic attack in the beginning because it was terrifying. I didn't know what was happening to me.
Right.
And nobody knew what was happening to me. And I couldn't figure it out. And I was scared. Like, it was horrible. And I didn't know what triggered it. And so there was like this pigeon superstition piece that would happen where you're like, oh, is this going to make it better? Is this going to make it worse? Like, what is it that's going to, like, what's the sweet spot so I don't have to experience that? And then at one point I started reasoning with myself and being like, okay, you've never died before.
Right.
We've had this happen before. Just like this. We know that this is the same thing and we've never died.
I've had that same conversation for the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I used to get the chest pains as a kid, like really severe and really targeted, and it would move into your shoulder. And you're like, that's not good. That's
and your
like,
arm.
you even
and,
know
like,
as a kid
here.
that's like heart attack signs.
And then in your jaw.
Yeah.
And
but
like, oh my God,
it would happen, and I would have to literally calm myself down and be like, this happens.
Yeah.
You didn't die. Yeah. Nothing bad happened.
Right.
Just deal.
Yeah. And you just have to wait it out. And then you learn to wait it out, but not in like, I don't know, like hoping and praying it'll go away. You just surrender to the experience of it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain to people too, because you don't want to come off like a defeatist.
Right.
Right. Where you're just like, yeah, no, I'm in pain a lot. And I just am. I just live that way for a while.
Yeah, no, it doesn't come off like positivity.
Right. They're like, what?
Why are you like this? You're so dark and edgy. I can't even. Like, I'm just.
Or when people are like, you need to go home. And you're like, no, it's fine.
That's not what I need, actually. It's the opposite of what I need.
I'm in horrible pain, but I'm fine. Well, and it's like when we kind of first started in this topic where it was my counselor before. So our school counselor from last year, I think. Oh, yeah. Said to me, because we were having a conversation about it. And I'd always kind of thought about it like, I'm in pain, but it's okay. And she kind of brought it to, I'm in pain and it's okay. Yep. And it's okay.
We talked about it when that happened on the podcast. And that made a huge difference.
Right. It was just a tiny itty bitty shift in thinking, but it made a huge difference in how I was able to like kind of process it. Be like, yeah, it is all okay. Yep. It is okay to be in pain. It's not like I'm in pain, but I'll be okay later. It's I'm in pain and I am okay. Yeah. In that pain. and in that moment.
I've said that to the kids before, and they hate that answer.
Really?
Well, because Rory is a little drama king.
Yeah.
Like,
he needs some anxiety.
He needs like the attention sometimes. Like if he hurts himself, he wants people to fawn over him.
Oh yeah.
But I'll be like, okay, we took care of it. We have Band-Aids. You're good to go. He's like, but it hurts really bad. I'm like, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, but it hurts though.
Yeah.
I'm like, it does, and it's going to.
Right.
But it's okay.
Yeah. But it's that natural response
okay
to be like, make the pain stop now.
Yeah.
Which is not always realistic.
Well, it's one of the weird disconnects I have with the kids is that
right.
They have the pain, and then they're like, oh, this needs to change, and I'm like, it's fine.
Make something different so that this is not what I'm experiencing. Whereas we're like, I'm gonna experience this for a while. And it's that same thing we talked about with like, we are the apathy people when it comes to like dealing with our pain, because we're like, I didn't do anything to change it. I just figured it's gonna be there for a while. I don't know. I just let it in. I don't know. It's sitting in the corner.
Jen walks in on me sometimes when I'm really having a bad day, right? Like she'll get back from work and she'll walk in and be like, hi. And I'll be like, oh, hi. She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, just in a lot of pain today. And she's like, did you take your meds? And I'll be like, no. And she'll be like, why? I'm like, I don't know.
I didn't wanna. I don't know.
I'm fine.
I do this thing where I stall out taking my meds until the end of the night.
Yeah.
Because I don't enjoy trying to go to bed coming down off of pain medication.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Don't enjoy it. I would rather take it like an hour or two before bed and have it still be in effect when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And I'm also, my husband calls me the heroin dragon because I hoard my meds like a madwoman, because it's like a scarcity thing in my brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Which is a good thing, honestly, because that's what's kept this system working for so long. Is the, like, I can't take it all the time because A, it'll stop working, and B, I will run out and that'll be bad.
Right.
Right. And so I'm like, I will just not take it because it could always be worse. And that actually came from when I was having the sciatica so bad.
Yeah.
And I would be like, is this bad enough to
does this qualify?
Use one of my like 30 pills for 9 months.
Right.
Right. So you're like, I have a very limited supply for a very long period of time. And so I have to decide, like, is this the worst? And if it's not the worst, it's fine.
Right.
What? But yeah, that's how it works now. Is the fear is not the same.
Right.
It's different. It's like there's a different kind of planning for relief of it. Because you're like, no, I can tolerate this for a while, but if it gets like worse in a couple of hours, then I will consider doing something.
Right. Then
to, like,
enact
try
plan
to
B.
mitigate it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because our tool set happens.
Yeah.
We have coping mechanisms and things we try first. And
right. Well, and I think that's the big one, because I feel like a lot of people, the fear of it continuing is really big. And so they're like, how do I make it stop now?
Yeah.
How do I make it like stop right now? Instead of like, it's that same thing between like when people ask you, what are your expectations working with this doctor or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I don't know, I'd like it to suck a little less, versus I want to not be in pain anymore.
Right.
Which is the answer they expect, because that's what people want, because they haven't had to cope with being in constant pain all the time forever.
Yep. And
so some people are like, you're a defeatist. And then other people are like, huh, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah. Well, if you understood the condition and you knew that it wasn't going to get better, why would you insist on making me say out loud that I'm going to get 100% better?
Right.
From your physical therapy.
Stupid.
Not that I'm talking about a specific thing in
we did
particular.
not go back to see that guy again. He was terrible.
He was. You're using your cane wrong.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
I'm using it the way that I have to.
Yeah, I use it wrong too.
Yeah.
People look at me like I'm like faking, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I got reprimanded in a handicap parking spot the other day. She was like, you don't look disabled. And I was like, it's a good thing you don't get to decide, huh? Just like, there's my placard. Go away. Go away.
Wow. On that note.
Sorry.
It's probably good to break.
Yeah. All right, friends. What do they need to do?
They need to drink water.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Mm-hmm. It's important.
Yes. Have a snack because you are a snack.
It's true.
Obligatory snack. Yeah. Find some sunlight if you can.
Or cuddle something soft.
Yes.
If you can't.
Fuzzy socks. Pet a dog or a kitty. Or don't pet your fish. They don't like that.
Maybe invest in a llama or an alpaca.
Alpaca.
They're gnarly. They have really bad attitudes, but
yeah, you try to pet it. I don't know. It's how you could get your exercise and chase the llama.
Yeah. Worked for the emperor.
It's just getting weird now. I'm sorry. Yes, do something nice for yourself. Do something cozy and warm and lovely. Sunlight if you can, because it's good for you.
Take a break if you're doing your stuff.
Yes. And take your meds if you have not.
Oh, yeah. Reminder.
Yes. Do that. We're going to go do some of those things also. And we will be back in a moment.
Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, did you know that Fantastic Pains now has a website? On our website, you can find our shop where we will be opening up for custom t-shirts and orders there. You can also find access to our PayPal, Winky Wink. You can buy us a coffee anytime. We would love that. You can also see some of our blog articles, access to recent episodes and our TikTok, and get in contact with us.
You can also find a link to our Discord, which is getting updated pretty soon to include new channels and some games. We would also like to thank our producer for setting up the website. Thank you for supporting us and enjoy the rest of the show.
Indeed. Thank you.
Welcome back. How was your break? Mine was really good. I got food. I still have some food.
Good luck editing
just
that.
Like a monster.
I'm a monster. I am a monster.
Listen to that laugh, that cackle.
No.
She's just laughing at me because I'm apparently funny. Where she gets
funny
the
looking.
nerve. Anyways, hopefully your break was good.
Yeah, hopefully you did some of the things. You deserve to do some of the things.
Mm-hmm. You deserve nice things in general.
Also, here's your reminder. You are worth more than you can produce or do for anyone else. And including yourself. Like you have worth because you exist, and that's amazing.
Yeah, you have an intrinsic value.
Yes. And we love you. So there.
Mm-hmm.
Accept my love and move on.
or don't accept it, but still move on.
Continue to move on.
Move forward. Let's move forward.
Always move on.
We're
never not move on.
We're gonna attempt to continue our thoughts from the first one, but we took a long break, so
yeah. Well, and I think we kind of meandered through the first half, but hopefully we got somewhere. I kept feeling like I was like circling around.
You're getting
something.
to a point. I'm kind of like guiding you there because I can feel the boundaries of what you're going. I know what you're going for, and I can't place it either.
I can't get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Have faith in the process.
So we've talked a little bit about like physical pain and why the need to escape it is so fierce for some people.
Yes.
And that's including like the people who are chronically ill. And I was thinking about this in the car actually. We still have some of that fear.
Absolutely.
When we get new symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So a new symptom will come around and we don't know what it is yet. And we're not sure if it's a serious thing or not a serious thing. Mm-hmm. And we don't know if we can put it in the snooze button category of like, oh, it's not real. It's not a real alarm. I don't need that.
I'm glad you brought it up. I was going to say the same thing because I was thinking the same thing over break.
Well, there we go. That was over my break.
We still have it.
Yeah.
And it is. It's anything new because you don't know how bad it's going to get.
Yes. You
don't know the parameters.
Right.
This is a brand new thing. And you're like, this could go really wrong.
Right.
Or it could just go away.
Yeah. Well, and there's it's funny how it's some of both all the time because I remember, what were they doing? They were doing something and, they thought it was a heart problem or whatever it was. I don't even remember why or where or what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. And my doctor was like, well, are you worried it's a heart problem? And I was like, absolutely not.
Right.
Like, no, I know enough of that type of feeling to kind of group it in with the rest. But when it's a new something, or like you said, something that comes back after you thought you had moved on, it can be disconcerting, and it can really shake you to your core in a way that doesn't leave an opportunity for us to like examine it logically and move on, which is how we kind of handle the rest of it, which is like, you're like, oh yes, I know what that is. It sucks. It hurts. It's all right though.
Yeah.
Like, move forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, the new stuff.
Basically, it doesn't work in every situation.
Yeah.
And it happens to everybody.
Yes. Well, and that's why I wanted to bring that up, was because, like, I don't want people thinking that we think we have it figured out.
Oh, God, no.
Because we don't. We just move through life.
We have, like, our current status figured out.
Yes.
For the most part. There are things that we have on our lists that we're like, gotta figure this out and this and this.
Yeah.
But, like,
they're in the background.
We're not in panic mode all the time because of it.
Right. Well, and I can't imagine what it's like to have such bad medical anxiety, because I know people who have medical anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
And it can be really life-changing.
You see it in the groups. It's really heartbreaking.
Yeah. To be so afraid all the time.
Yeah.
And it is. It's heartbreaking. I think that's the right word for it, because you can't alleviate their fear. You're not the doctor.
Right. And that just shows that something horrible has happened to them already. Or something, you know, something happened to somebody, or...
Yes. Well, and I feel like a lot of it is the doctors we see.
Yeah.
And being brushed off over and over and over again, and not actually getting answers for the things to be able to put them in the snooze pile. So for us, we can be like, I didn't die last time, I'm probably okay. But it's hard for people when they're like, it feels like a heart attack every time. Or it feels like I'm going to throw up my lungs. Or some of those feelings are really awful.
Yeah.
And when it comes to pain and having like episodic pain, especially, like we have the episodes of really bad pain when the weather changes, but we've made the association with the weather. And so it's less fearful and more irritating.
No, it's irritating, exactly. Yeah. Because those are the times we're like, we're waiting for different. I wish different were here now, because this is not fun. Yeah. But we're not afraid of it.
Right. You're just waiting in the line, and it sucks.
And letting it happen.
Yes.
Like, you know, not trying to fight it, because that doesn't usually work.
Yeah. Like, you can do what you can do, but beyond that, like, trying 17 solutions is not going to do you any favors.
Right.
Like, you need to try the thing and then wait and see if that works, and then maybe move up a step in your tiers of care. And if you want to hear about the tiers of care, I think we had an episode on that. I'll have to
with Jen.
Find it. Yeah.
Jen talked about how she takes care of us and how there's very specifically a plan in place for when things go a certain way, and she ups it if it goes worse. And it's
well, and my husband has started to kind of fall into that pattern as well, where he's like, do you need me to pop you? Because that's the very first thing that we try.
And I always hear it like he's a 1960s like abusive husband. Do I need to pop you? Like,
right
dude,
in the kisser.
Calm down. You don't need to pop her. Maybe fix her back, but pop her.
But yeah, like the tears go up. But yeah, that medical anxiety can be really limiting too.
Yeah.
Because if you're afraid of triggering something, and when you're afraid of the pain like that, and you'll do anything to avoid the pain, you start to lose pieces of your life. You start to surrender pieces of your life, when in reality, what you need to surrender is the pain.
I think there was a time that I was going through that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, because we were getting bad advice from doctors all the time and being told that it was nothing. And it got so bad that I needed like emergency shoulder surgery, basically.
Yeah.
But before that, there was no faith in anybody. Like, what I was in pain. What could I do?
Yeah.
I can't go to the ER because it's chronic pain, apparently, because it's been more than a month. I can't go to a doctor, like a primary care, because they don't listen to me. They blow me off.
Yeah.
And there was no winning.
Yeah.
So I was completely afraid of it. Like, the pain was untreatable as far as I was concerned. So it was terrifying.
Right.
Because it was forever, and it hurt.
It's scary too when you question whether or not it's real. When doctors are like, oh, it's in your head. And you're like, you don't know any better than to, like, what do? Not believe the doctor?
Exactly.
But up until that point where you can be like, no, that's not enough for me.
Yeah.
And have that self-advocation, because that it comes in stages, it comes in steps and through learning and pursuing answers.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It is so hard to face doctors who don't believe you and don't want to believe you.
Right.
And who don't want to treat you or give you referrals or any of it. Like,
yeah, for whatever reason too.
A fight.
Yeah, like when you went and saw that first doctor.
Right. She was like, you don't need a diagnosis. And I was like,
I do though.
I think I do, actually.
Yeah, personally, I do need this thing. But she didn't want to hear anything you had to say, so.
No. She didn't care. She was just like, we treat it all the same anyway. And I was like, I don't know about that, actually.
I don't know.
Without a diagnosis, how are you going to treat it?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to get treatment if I have to go to urgent care?
Right.
What do I tell them? I don't know. I don't have a diagnosis, but she said we'll treat it all the same anyway.
Yeah.
Like, what? But those people who it creates fear, and it creates a lack of trust in the systems that we have access to and are in place.
And there's already like stigma against certain things.
Yes.
Like, I know we want to jump into the mental and just even getting mental help in the first place. Yeah. You're already looking at yourself in a negative light.
Yeah. Well, because the stigma is that it's weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, actually, the stigma is that it's trendy.
So
our young people coming up with mental illness, because honestly, they have every reason to be mentally ill living in this day and age and growing up in the trauma that they've grown up in. And also, like, our diagnostic systems are improving.
That's what I was going to say. That's the annoying part, is that it's trendy because more people are getting it addressed. You think it's like the heyday of mental health. Like, it should be the golden era where people can actually get worked on and not have shame about it and be functional again.
Right.
Get their lives back. But no, it's trendy.
It's trendy, or it's the same as it was with like ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Where they were like, oh, they're just diagnosing everybody with blah, 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 blah. Or they're coming down on, and I see this a lot from like Gen X.
Yeah.
Gen X comes down on the younger generations really hard for their mental health struggles. And they criticize them because you don't know what real trauma is, and everything can't be trauma. And it comes from a place of almost jealousy, like envious anger, because
they didn't get the tools that the kids get now. So it's unfair.
And they're like, I made it without help. You can too if you would just suck it up.
A fun story that really relates to this.
Oh no.
Jen was in line at the pharmacy picking up meds, and she heard the pharmacist complaining about how ADHD is overdiagnosed and how it's not as prevalent as people think it is. Jen has a very sensitive nerve when it comes to that exact sentiment, because she was raised being told that it's not real, even though she was diagnosed with it. So she got in the car and she was livid. She was on a fucking warpath. She wanted someone to pay for their transgressions. It was, I felt so bad for her too.
Like, you should not be a pharmacist.
Right.
Those are the people who get to decide whether or not they'll fill your medications. Like the ones who are like, I know it says that this is what it is and the doctor signed off on it, but we're not going to fill that.
Yeah, those are the types that
we have a moral issue with what you're taking.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting. That's not your job. Package the drugs.
Or the what's fun is when I've heard these conversations happen, because they call the doctors sometimes.
Yeah.
To berate the doctor, like, are you sure you want them to get this? Are you aware that they also have this and this? Oh, you are? Then should you really be prescribing that? I've heard that conversation happen. Like, fuck you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The nerve. You're like, you didn't go to medical school, buddy.
You went to pharmotech.
Yeah, huh? Like, do your job and stop worrying about other people's jobs.
Well,
and it's almost that same thing with like that privilege of being able to pretend the world isn't the way it is, and being able to be like, this is the bubble and it looks wonderful And anyone outside of that bubble is just...
anyone who comes in and dirties their life with their trauma or their life experience that differs from theirs.
Well, and I've read things that are like, especially on Facebook. Facebook is really bad for this, where they're like, everything can't be trauma. And I have anxiety too, and I still go to work. And anxiety is not a valid reason to not go to work. You're like, okay, I'm sorry. Did you grow up in the age of school shootings happening every other week?
Did you live through a school shooting?
Right.
Just saying.
They have reason to be anxious. Did you live through pandemic when you were in your formative years? No? Shut up.
Right.
Shut up. They've been through more than... It's insane what we are putting them through and then pretending like everything is normal and they are the problem, which is not the case.
Yeah, I don't know why it's the shame game.
I think it really is that jealousy of like, I did it. I had to suck it up. So now you have to suck it up. And if you can't suck it up, you're weak.
That's so sad. Really, everyone should just be getting help.
Yeah.
And then everyone would be happy.
Well, it's like I say on the podcast, I've said it several times. If you're alive in 2022, you probably need a therapist.
I got my therapist back. So
Which
I'm happy.
Is lovely. That's so exciting.
I'm excited to see her. But yeah, like we were saying, the fear of getting your mental health in order is strong.
Well, and that one, especially when it comes to like trauma, because especially early childhood traumas and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah. It was like syndrome? No, disorder. Because it's not one trauma to explore and pick apart and reason through. It's years and years of multiple traumas and little traumas and a lack of normal.
Realizing that that what your normal was not normal.
Right. I had this conversation with one of my students yesterday about like generational abuse and generational trauma, because those adults can't accept that what they're doing isn't normal and is traumatic, because then they would have to face their own trauma as trauma, and they have to make it normal to move on.
I mean, the upside to that conversation is that it sounds like he's a cycle breaker.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good thing.
That's really my goal in all of those conversations, and knowing where those students come from, because working with the population I've worked with is eye-opening in so many ways. Like, we knew these things were happening, but to hear so many of the same story in the same building, in the same set of 100 kids, is unbelievable how traumatized these kids are. And I mean, it's not unbelievable, but that's how people face it. Is they're like, well, I can't believe they've been through all of that. And you're like, but they have. And we have to believe it because they have. But yeah, cycle breaking is hard. And you have to face what you went through as trauma. And,
so that you can do something different.
Right. And like realize that you went through trauma. And I think we went through that in a way because we were raised in such a way that we were extremely sheltered, but also there were other things going on that we didn't know weren't normal.
Yeah.
And so when we came out of it, we had to turn around and face what wasn't normal.
It was for both of us, it was really sudden too. Like, we got pulled out into this like new reality.
Yes.
And we did not fit in well.
No.
Like, we tried to I don't know if this is true for you, but trying to mask when you don't know the rules of the game.
Yeah, when you're like, impossible. I don't know what the mask should look like.
Yeah, what do you expect of me? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Because clearly I'm doing something wrong.
What should this look like? Yeah. I'm confused.
Yep. But yeah, it's weird because I've only recently started working on mental health, like in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Like, I acknowledged at 30 that I had a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
One of many.
Right.
And even then it was pretty cavalier. I was like, no, it happened. It's fine.
Right.
It's not a big deal. And then, in the last 3 years, I've actually been working on it. But there was a lot of fear there.
Yeah.
Like, I was terrified to do therapy for the longest time.
Was it like fear of judgment, or was it fear of exploring what had happened to you?
Both.
Okay.
Like, because I had downplayed it so much in my mind that I felt weak for feeling any way about the things that have happened. So like I was
like it doesn't belong to you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like I said, when I got called a victim of a thing, it blew my mind. It was like, I wasn't. I was just there when it happened.
Right.
I guess maybe in a way I am. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I was afraid of being afraid too.
Yeah.
Because it was all unknown, really. Mm-hmm. Like getting into it and finding out things that you don't want to remember or
Right. Do you ever have those like they're not quite memories, but they're almost like sensory memories?
Oh, absolutely. They bring you back to some.
Yeah, and you can connect the emotion with it.
Yep.
But you don't know what it is.
Smells are huge for me.
Yeah.
Like
smells are huge in general for memory.
Yeah, like I have a lot of really negative smells that
Ditto.
That I'll just and they'll happen when I'm sitting doing nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you'll be like, I haven't smelled that since I was a kid, and then holy shit. What the hell is that? And then it goes away forever.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know what that was, but I didn't like it.
I just connected some neurons that hadn't touched in a long time.
Oops.
They were all like, ding, combo, trauma. And I was like, yeah. Oh. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you don't remember it fully. You're left with a sensation afterwards. Yes. And you're like, oh, heavy.
You're like, ew. All of me feels just gross.
Well, then you start getting like faint more memories, and you're like, no, not now, not now. Let me finish what I'm doing.
Well, and then it becomes that like avoidance out of fear, and that's really where the problem lies. Like fear is one thing. Fear is a natural program. Like it's supposed to be there. It's there for a reason. It's good to have fear. It's what we do with the fear that matters.
Yeah.
And so obviously a lot of us become avoidant of working on your mental health because you don't know what you're going to remember. And that's scary. It's fear of the unknown. And it's fear of like, you know, something is there and you know, if you pick at it, it's going to come right to the surface and you know, it's bad.
Yeah.
Like you know enough to know you don't want to know it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the same is true of people who avoid doctors.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't want to know. Nothing's wrong until it gets diagnosed.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like, you got to know though, man, because you could prevent things. But no, they're like, it's not real if it's not diagnosed.
Yeah. It'll be real when I like have a heart attack.
I mean, that's a severe like
dead.
fear response too. But
yeah. Well, and I think that even goes back to that trauma.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people who avoid it are that like older generation who weakness was the biggest thing to fear. Like they fear looking weak, which is its own fear. Like you're not stronger for pretending you're fine.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of fear and weakness. So
you just exhibit it differently.
Yes. Yeah. Or you channel it differently, or you stick it on different stuff. Because you're like, this label goes here, obviously, but we're going to take it and put it over here. That is now what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what I call smoke screening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's good at calling it out.
Yes.
Like, gotcha.
You're like, that's not actually why you're upset.
And she's like,
you're right there.
Right. You're not. Are you serious right now?
You're like, you're really not crying about the cereal.
And
I know like, for a fact it's not the cereal.
How did you know?
You're like, I don't know. We don't set kitchens on fire because we drop our bowl of cereal.
Might have been an overreaction.
Something else was going on, friend.
Yeah.
They're like, no, it's the cereal. You're like,
no.
No, it is not.
That was the trigger.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But it's hard when you start like digging through trauma because it starts bubbling to the top. And you have like different bubbles popping at different times and different days and new triggers that come to light because those things are starting to become unburied.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why therapy is great.
Yes.
Give you the tools to handle that stuff.
Right. And if your therapist is not working like or has not given you tools, we need to have a conversation about that.
I don't understand how therapy can work without that model.
Get it.
Like it is the point that you're just saying it makes it better.
Right.
Like I don't
like even conversational therapy should have some kind of like explicit instruction on
like a goal,
some tools
to
work on and try out. That makes sense to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Well, I mean, it's the therapy that worked for us, really. So.
Right. Well, and it gives you tools for different things too.
Yeah.
Like those tools are applicable throughout life. They just are. Like coping comes in many different forms and for many different reasons. And I mean, for us, we're not perfect with the tools and the coping either.
No.
We just stop being avoidant. We just are like, yeah, no, let it hurt me. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm okay.
And you're like, you get hit by a truck.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it's fine.
It's fine.
This is fine. It's fine.
We use the tools. We've gotten better at least.
Yes.
Especially through the podcast.
Right.
Like practicing and at least teaching them, it reminds us that they exist.
Yes.
So it's not as bad as it used to be. I'd say now we're less likely to be hit by a truck.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not true. Maybe we're less likely to not see the truck coming. You know, we'll be like, oh, hey, look, there's the truck. Boom.
Yeah.
But
that's
right.
Yeah.
You can see it coming.
We're like, oh, hey,
it's gonna happen.
Bad things. Okay.
Yeah.
And you just expect it at that point because, you know, trauma. And I think that plays into how we handle like pain.
Yeah.
And are now being able to be less afraid of it and more just irritated by it.
Yeah, I don't know. There was definitely a point for each of us where it was like, I don't care anymore. I want to do the surgery.
Yes.
I want to do the whatever. I'm going to do whatever you want me to do.
Yeah.
Just so that we can make progress and
yeah,
either find something that doesn't work and move on or find something that works.
That's, I don't know. There's something about being in movement, in process, in progress, in like moving through a plan.
Yeah.
Because I think stagnation is what really gets to us when we stagnate in a state because we're like, it has to get different somehow. And then we'll try to like make it get different. But yeah.
That's fair. Well, then the last thing we need to talk about is the way fear plays into the fear of pain specifically plays into planning your future and how you can fear the future because of the possibility of pain.
Yeah.
Or the knowing that it's going to get different in a negative way.
Right. Right.
Because we've talked about it before a little bit, but we can go, I think, more into it.
Yeah. There's a deeper level to be hit there because I think each of us have experienced the fear of the future.
Yes.
And the fear of what comes next. And I think for a long time we pretended like there is no future, there's only now.
Yeah, which was a coping mechanism for sure, but
absolutely.
It worked. It got us through the now.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly how it kind of plays out for me is that like the future is out of my control. I can only deal with what's happening here and now because that's all I've got the spoons for.
But you still have like a goal. And not like a very specific, like, I need this when.
Right.
But like a direction that you're kind of moving toward.
Right. Well, and that's kind of
with
like...
all the different options in it.
Yeah. For me, there's a lot of fear around like not being able to work and not being able to contribute income. And like losing general abilities because for me, I've never let, not never, but these days I don't let pain or condition dictate what I can and can't do. I just do. Exactly. And I find a way to do, even though it hurts or even though something is going to dislocate. Still do things. Like I'm going to do the things. But my fear was, especially with like the small fiber neuropathy, losing ability to do, even though I want to push through, losing the ability.
No, I get that. I started playing with fidget spinners maybe like 6 years ago. Not because they were fun, but because I wanted to keep my hand dexterity.
Yeah.
And I noticed it was starting to slip. Like,
that makes sense.
Not just like I wasn't as coordinated, but like I was like literally dropping things all the time or
that's me.
Like shaking out of control. And I figured that, you know, doing something with my hands constantly that was like a if I could do it like a routine.
Yeah.
Build it up. Well,
it's like PT.
Yeah.
You were doing your own physical and occupational therapy.
Exactly. Because I freaked out. Because my hands were starting to slip, and I was like, "Oh, I can't have that."
Right. You're like, I need my hands. I need my hands, and I need my feet.
Well,
I don't actually need my feet. Actually,
yeah, no,
you can have those.
We've moved on
at any
from feet.
point.
We've evolved beyond
right off.
We don't believe in them.
It's fine.
They're really annoying.
Stupid.
What do they even do for you? I can float.
Walking? Dumb.
Walking's for
anyway.
Which is why I do it.
But we don't know what's coming.
Right.
And that, in a weird way, is so comforting.
It depends on your mood.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've definitely, there are times when I'm like, that is the most comforting thought. Mm-hmm. And there are times when I'm like, that's abysmal. You know what I mean? Like,
you're like, it could be more of this.
When you're in a negative headspace.
Yeah.
And you've been like 3 months of hell, and it's like, oh, this is getting worse. Then it's hard to be like, oh, you know, I'll be fine.
It's that like mood-based learning.
It really is.
Where you're like, everything's horrible. It's always been horrible, and it will continue to be horrible because that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Well, even at those times, you need to work on your like positive thinking.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Usually, I don't even go for the positive thinking. Usually, I just identify it as like, I need to feel bad for myself right now. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I need to take a minute and be a sad sack and feel sorry for myself.
Yeah, you have to wallow.
Yeah.
That is a step.
And then you identify it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're done feeling the emotion, you can move on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, is that I think even culturally, we're so opposed to feeling our feelings.
Yeah.
And that's where that like fear comes in mentally, is that like, well, I don't want to experience it. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to get through it. I want it to stop. I want it to go away.
Also, like, counterpoint to that, I feel like when emotions are displayed, they're always like at a 10.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're having an emotion, it better goddamn well be a 10 and up. Yeah. Like, why aren't you to the max? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, a lackluster happy is not acceptable. Yeah. You have to be happy. Or if you're angry, why aren't you pissed off? Why aren't you bawling your eyes out right now? It's like, guys, there are shades to these things.
Yes. Well, and everybody experiences them differently. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's an experience. Like, you have to go through it. You have to go through your emotion.
Right.
And we can't do it for other people, and we can't dictate how other people experience their feelings. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of the like opposite, where they're like, oh, well, you're overreacting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're like, okay. But we also don't explicitly teach early on how to deal with emotions and how to sit with emotions and feel them.
Right.
Without freaking out.
So, I mean, we weren't. I've been raising my kids that way,
yes,
at least.
I think this generation has a better shot emotionally.
Need to work with Ori a bit more. He's at the angry boy stage.
Yeah. He's got the angst.
He's so angsty. I love
got
it.
Got the angst.
Because he's still adorable and cute and cuddly. Mm-hmm. And then, like, he'll go from that to being like, I want to kill my mom. I want to kill my dad.
I want to kill my cat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, you're not edgy, dude.
Right. So he's having emotions, and he doesn't know where to put them.
Exactly.
Yeah. But we all go through it, and it's uncomfortable, but it's not forever.
Yeah. So then how do you go about like planning your future when you're counting on change? You know what I mean? When you're like, this sucks, mm-hmm. and I want this in the future.
Yeah.
This is how I could get to it, but you know, everything's different.
First things first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's generally how it works for me, is like, right now we're in talks about bebes mm-hmm. in the future, but there are things that need to happen before that.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, I don't want to talk about steps 9, 10, 20, 30, 40.
Right.
I want to talk about step 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to focus on. And then when I've done step 1, then I can start to think about step 2
mm-hmm.
and maybe step 3. So I don't tend to plan ahead as far as, like, I don't plan far out. I don't like to, because things change.
Yeah.
And I don't like setting myself up to be like disappointed with myself either.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Is setting yourself up and then failing yourself.
Right.
Oof.
And then punishing yourself. It's
yeah.
great. So generally I shrink it. I shrink it to manageable size.
Yeah.
And then I do the first things first. What has to happen? All right. Let's focus on that first thing. Not over there. Don't want to even look at it. Cover it back up.
That's how we've approached the podcast too.
Yeah.
Is we did step 1, and then we got used to step 1, and then we moved on to step 2.
Yeah.
And we're still doing it.
You do first things first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it still exists, and we haven't let ourselves down.
Right. Which is great. Because we haven't put like pressure on ourselves to be anything that we're not, or do anything that we're not comfortable doing right off the bat.
For a project that wasn't supposed to last more than 6 weeks.
Right. My husband was like, I can't believe you're still doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, shut up. You should have had faith in me. But also I understand why you said that. Shh. You're not my mom. Go away.
Get out of here with that.
And we just kept doing it.
Yeah.
Because we liked doing it. But that's how I feel about everything. Even when I'm talking about work, I'm like, I might go down to a 0.8 next year. But I don't know. I might not feel the need to go down to 0.8 next year. I might have a really restful summer and come back fresh and not have all my leave burned in the first month.
Yeah.
Like next year will be different. And it'll be under different circumstances.
That's also acknowledging that the now is not normal.
Right.
Like this is not an atypical experience that you've been going through. So
this is not.
I think that can help when you're looking for different, understanding that now is different already.
Yes. Well, and that goes back to what Lou said at one point, which was like what you're experiencing is exceptional.
Yeah.
And it's okay for it to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that still like makes my eyes water a little bit.
I love Lou.
I do too. She's the best. She's sweet. But that makes a difference to be able to like what you are going through isn't normal. And I think that goes back to like acknowledging that the world is not built for us.
Right.
What you're experiencing is not what the template people were. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it was made for these people, and if you don't fit that template, it's not made for you, dude. It's gonna be harder.
Yeah.
Simply because you are not that one A-type person. You have exceptionalities. Probably more than one exceptionality.
Probably.
If we're being honest here, right? Like, it's not normal. And it's okay for it to be hard.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard. And that's the thing. I saw actually a post about somebody was like, how do you keep going when it's so hard and everything hurts so much all the time? And for me, like, I can't keep score on things. I learned a long time ago that, like, I can't collect a record of things.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because it goes back into that mood-based learning where we're like, what are you collecting? That's you're gauging
your worth based on things again.
Yeah.
Or accomplishments or
And then it's not going to work. You're setting yourself up to fall on your face.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. So for her, I think I just replied. I was like, and yet we keep waking up.
Yeah. Because
that's how I get through. Is I have a day and then the evening and then I go to bed. And then somehow I wake up again and I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah. All right. This one, we're going to do this day. And then later when I wake up again, I will think about the next day.
Yeah.
Shrink it. Make it manageable for you.
Mm-hmm.
And don't put those expectations on yourself because they're not for you.
Right.
They were never meant for you.
Yeah.
But what about you?
I'm not sure that I do anything anymore. I mean, I take it as it comes, basically.
Yeah.
I'm very fluid.
Yes. I say mercurial.
Yeah.
Because my husband's like, I don't understand. And I'm like, that's because you're looking for patterns when there aren't any.
Right.
Like, you have to let go of keeping that record of pattern.
Mm-hmm. No, it's...
Stop counting. Stop keeping score.
When I was coming out of, like, the deep depression, I found self-worth in working on myself. So, like, you know, surgeries or therapies, things like that. I gauged and I was like, I have a plan for this in the future. I'm going to do these things.
Yeah.
And then now that that's kind of slowed down, at least temporarily, I guess I spend time with the kids and try and plan out things for them.
Yeah.
Like things that I can do with them when I can, like taking advantage of it.
Right.
It's like taking it as it comes, literally.
Right.
Like if there's a day when I feel great and I'm like, let's do stuff, I'll be all over it. Hang out with the kids. Let's go learn something. Let's go do something.
Yeah.
And same with the pain. If it's a bad pain day, I actually give myself rest.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Right.
So not
so
used
like
to it.
value your own self.
Right.
Like, okay, I heard you. We need to lay down now.
Yeah. So like, I don't really fear the future so much as like, you come up against roadblocks and things like that. And you just adapt.
Yeah. Well, and what I've kind of learned is that like life doesn't stop.
Right. Exactly.
In those moments. And that's how we know that it's not forever, because time flows regardless.
Yeah.
And we can try to hold our arms out, but the current is going to push past you anyway. You may as well let it go and move forward. Like it will change regardless. Like, one way or another, it'll be different.
Yeah. And it's very true with bipolar brain.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of it, is just being ready for my brain to even betray me.
Right.
You have to be ready for everything.
Yes.
Coming at you from all sides. One day you're happy-go-lucky, you hear a weird noise, and suddenly you're having PTSD flashbacks, and you're like freaking the fuck out.
Great.
I'm ready for that.
Fun. It's good. Great.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
But I adapt, so.
We also use our resources a lot more now.
Oh, totally.
And I think that's helped with like adapting to opening up some of those boxes of trauma. Is being able to talk to somebody else and be like, oh my God, I just remembered a thing and it's not good.
Well, not having a meltdown about it either.
Yes.
Like accepting it happened.
Yeah. And externalizing things.
Yeah. Oh, that's my go-to.
Yeah.
I have to see things now. If I'm in pain, I need to say it out loud so that Jen can hear it, and then it's like real.
Yeah.
Then I've acknowledged it and I can move on.
Yeah. And now I never shut up about it. I run around work just being like, ow, oh my God, ow. And then like, I'm sad.
That's what I do.
We just never shut up now. And it helps a lot.
It really does. Especially with like Jen, who knows more about me than I do. When I'm like, and she like looks at me, she's like, what's up? And I'm like, I feel depressed. And she's like, oh, it's because of this.
Yeah.
And this other thing. And I'm like,
remember the thing that
happened? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, I got you Skittles already. I was like, you saw this coming? She's like, yeah, no, I got you.
A mile away.
Like, stop it, you freak. I can't handle your love.
You miraculous freak, you.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
But like, it's because I externalized that can happen even. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think that externalization gives us so much more room to actually feel the things that we need to feel.
Yeah.
Because we're allowing ourselves to do that. We're saying that like, no, that's acceptable. I'm going to make it acceptable.
Yeah.
End of story. That's what's going to happen.
That includes fear.
Yeah.
When we have concerns or fears for the future.
Right.
We say it and address it.
Or I'll like message you and be like, I am having a weird time. I am feeling like it's forever. Please tell me that it's not. I need someone else to remind me.
You ever wake up from a dream and you're still kind of the mind chemicals are still out, so like you're still like in dream mode. I had a nightmare last night, really weird, really trippy, like acid trippy.
Oh no.
Where like I was leaving the dream actively talking to my grandfather. We're like, okay, I'm gonna go wake up now. And then there was like this door, and then I was like, that looks interesting though. So I go through this door, end up in some weird twisted Kmart, but it's not Kmart.
What?
Well, it was a Target actually, but it wasn't a Target. It was actually like the ride in Disneyland with all the little people.
Oh my God, it's a small world.
It's a small world. Like in everywhere where like a store would be, it was really bizarre, and it was like shapes were moving and shit. and it got weirder and weirder, and the world kept getting closer in on me, until I was like touching the walls, and they were touching me all over, and I couldn't move. And then I woke up.
Your body was remembering your own birth or something.
Yeah, it was bizarre, man.
Oh, I hate that.
I hated everything about it.
That's horrible. I hate having sensory dreams.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I used to have before I was able to identify some of the PTSD and remember what was what's in there in the sensory bits.
Yep.
Because you wake up and it was like gross and horrible, and you like touched something that you're like, oh no.
Yeah, no.
Kick that back under the bed.
I woke up and I was like, I'm not doing great, Jen. She was like, what's up? And I was like, I had a weird nightmare. And like my eyes were still like woobly, so I wasn't sure if I was awake or not.
Oh no.
Because like I looked at the TV and it was like wavy, and I was like, oh no, I don't like this.
Somebody slipped you something.
Yeah, I got roofied by my wife last night. This was
just out there
pre-Wombo.
licking tables. And one of them had acid on it.
What it is I take one of my meds, I think the Ativan, not Ativan.
Do you take one to lessen the dreams?
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting. My husband does too.
Lowers my blood pressure at bedtime, and that keeps you from having panic dreams because your heart rate doesn't go up. Weird. Which is like a trigger for nightmares.
Interesting. That's so strange because like I don't dream like that.
I usually don't.
Oh, it's in my pocket. I have like, I don't know. I don't know. I just dream really sharply every single night.
Yeah. That's what I'm used to. That's why last night was weird to me. And I hated every moment of it.
Bizarre.
But it was pre-Wombo combo, so I didn't have my nightmare meds.
Yeah. That makes sense. I was like, what did you eat? Good Lord.
I had bipolar. Bipolar PTSD. 2.
Great.
I have trauma.
And then ADHD.
Oh yeah, I'm neurodivergent as all get out.
Fuck. It's great. Yeah, it's crazy.
But that's where we're gonna end it.
Yes.
Because I don't feel great.
Agreed. I keep doing this like, when you seek pressure, and so you have to pull against and push against things. That's where I'm at. It's great. Love it. And then I do it, and I like use my muscles, and as soon as I stop, I almost pass out.
Yeah.
It's a fun time. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our musings and gotten something out of it at least.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there was something that you could relate to. Drop us a comment if you would be so kind. Follow us. Share.
Chill.
Like. Subscribe.
All the things.
We love you. Please love us. Love me. Love me.
And join the Discord if you want to talk to some lovely people or read about things that are going on that are similar to your experiences.
Yeah. Absolutely. We do different things every week. And we talk on Fridays at our lives, and you can help us plan episodes.
Which has been really awesome lately. So.
Yeah. It's cool to get everybody else's like voices on what you guys want to hear is important to us too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you guys have fresh ideas and things. It's good stuff. All right. With that, thank you so much for coming along with us. We really appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, check out the website, PayPal, coffee,
You know the drill.
The drill. It's all there. But we love you. Be kind to you. Be kind to others. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
I said it for you that time. Are you pleased?
So wait, every other time you never said it for me? Every other time you were saying it for yourself, but this is the one time you said it for me?
Yeah, because you were upset by the last time.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I think it was 2 times ago.
I don't understand why this is a thing now. Yes, I love when you do the outro. It's a good outro. It's a good shtick.
It's my shtick.
God damn it.
I have ADHD and my shtick changes every day. I don't know what to tell you. I'm mercurial as fuck. Bye.
Peace. And she's dead.